Level 1. Zero tolerance. You don't think of yourself as someone who runs from pain. Nobody does. That's the thing about this level. It's completely invisible from the inside. You don't experience yourself as soft. You experience yourself as reasonable, as someone who listens to their body, as someone who knows their limits. The story you tell yourself is that you're being smart, strategic. You'll push hard when the conditions are right. The conditions are never right. Here's what your life actually looks like at this level. The workout gets hard at minute 8 and something in you starts negotiating. Not quitting, negotiating. You slow down a little. You take a longer rest than you planned. You tell yourself you'll make up for it on the next set. The next set arrives and the same negotiation happens. You finish the session. You did something, but you stopped every single time the discomfort asked you to stop, which means you never actually found out what you were capable of. You just found out what was comfortable. It's not just physical. The difficult conversation you've been putting off for 3 weeks, the one that will be uncomfortable for about 20 minutes and then done, you are still not having it. The cold you turned the shower to warm before it could reach, the hard chapter of the book you skipped to see how it ends. You have built an entire life designed around the avoidance of friction. It is a very comfortable life. It is also a very small one. Neuroscientists call this pain catastrophizing. Your brain doesn't just feel the pain. It predicts it, amplifies it, and adds a story. This will be unbearable. This will break me. This is not worth it. The prediction arrives before the sensation does. You are flinching from something that hasn't happened yet. Nothing is wrong with you. Your brain is doing its job, but your brain's job and your potential are two completely different things.
Level 2. Avoidance. You know you avoid discomfort. That's what separates you from level 1. You've read enough, watched enough, been honest with yourself enough to see the pattern. You notice it in real time now. The negotiation starts at minute 8 and you recognize it happening. You can name it. You know it's not injury. You know it's not your body telling you to stop. You know it's just your nervous system filing a complaint. You stop anyway. This is the cruelest level because the awareness doesn't automatically become action. You understand everything and change nothing. You watch yourself make the comfortable choice with full knowledge that you're making it. Then you feel the specific guilt that comes from knowing better and doing it anyway, which is worse than just not knowing. Ignorance is clean. This is dirty. What keeps you here is a misunderstanding about what pain actually is. You treat it as a signal that something is wrong, an alarm. Stop what you're doing. But most of the pain you encounter in training, in growth, in difficult conversations, in anything that builds you, that pain is not an alarm. It's a tax. It's the price the body and mind charge for getting stronger. The alarm and the tax feel identical from the inside. Telling them apart is a skill, and right now, you don't have it yet. Level 3. Aware. Something changed in how you enter hard moments. You stop trying to make the pain smaller. That's the shift. Before, every hard set was a negotiation between you and the discomfort. How do I get through this with as little suffering as possible? Now, you started asking a different question. Not how do I avoid this, but what happens if I just let it be here? The answer, the first time you actually do it, surprises you. It doesn't get worse. The pain peaks somewhere around the point where you would normally have stopped, and then it plateaus. It doesn't keep climbing. It sits there, uncomfortable and manageable, and you are still moving through it, and nothing has broken. Your body kept going. Your lungs didn't collapse. You are on the other side of the moment you've been stopping at for years, and the ground is still under your feet. Sports psychologists call this the pain tolerance window. There is a point where the body signals stop, and there is a separate point further along where actual damage begins. The space between those 2 points is where growth lives. You have been living below the first point your entire life. You just took your first step past it, but you can't hold it yet. You find the window once and then lose it for a week. The next hard session, you're back to stopping early. The skill is real, but it isn't yours yet. You found it the way you'd find a door in the dark, by accident, briefly, and then you couldn't find it again. Level 4. Enduring. You have started doing something specific. When the pain arrives, and it always arrives, right on schedule, somewhere between the moment you want to stop and the moment you actually need to. You have a sentence you say to yourself, not a shout, not a war cry, something quiet and flat and completely yours. 3 words, maybe 4, something that means I've been here before and I'm still here. This is what psychologists call a coping self-statement. It sounds simple because it is simple, but simple is not the same as weak. Elite athletes, military personnel, surgeons operating in disaster conditions, they all use some version of this. The brain, under stress, narrows. Complex strategies dissolve. What remains has to be small enough to hold in one hand. You are enduring now, not enjoying, enduring. The pain is still uncomfortable. You still feel every second of it, but you are no longer running the calculation about whether to stay. You decided before you arrived. The decision happens in the preparation, not in the moment. In the moment, you just execute a decision that's already been made. Here's the cost. You are running on determination and determination alone. There is nothing underneath it yet. One catastrophic session, one genuine injury scare, one workout that goes badly wrong, and the fear comes back twice as loud. You haven't built resilience, you've built stubbornness. They look the same from the outside and feel completely
completely different from the inside. Stubbornness breaks, resilience bends and returns. You haven't learned the difference yet. Level 5, adapting. Your body has started changing in ways you can measure. Not just strength, not just muscle. The nervous system itself has adapted. Researchers call this stress inoculation. Repeated exposure to controlled discomfort trains the brain to categorize that discomfort differently. The signal still arrives, but the volume is lower. What used to feel like a 9 feels like a 6. The 6 that used to stop you doesn't stop you anymore. You've moved the ceiling by raising the floor. You also notice it bleeding into your life outside the gym. The difficult conversation you've been avoiding? You had it. Not because you'd finally found the courage, because the threshold for what counts as unbearable has quietly shifted. 20 minutes of uncomfortable honesty registers differently now than it did 6 months ago. You've been marinating in discomfort 3 times a week. 20 minutes of an awkward conversation is Tuesday. But here's the catch at this level, and it matters. You've gotten good at physical pain. Controlled, predictable, self-administered physical pain in an environment you chose. Emotional pain still finds the gap. Loss, rejection, failure at something that actually matters to you, that kind of pain doesn't follow the same rules. You can't warm up for it. You can't control the dose. And when it arrives, the toughness you built in the gym sometimes doesn't show up. This is not a failure of your training. It's the limit of it. Physical resilience and emotional resilience are cousins, not twins. Level 6, hardened. You have been injured. Properly injured. Not a tweak, not a tightness. Something that took you out, put you on the couch. Removed the one thing you'd built your identity around. For 6 weeks, maybe 10, maybe longer, you couldn't do the thing that was making you harder. And you had to find out what was left when the training was gone. What was left surprised you. The identity didn't collapse with the injury. The discipline kept finding things to express itself through. The pain tolerance that was supposed to live only in the weight room, it was there in the recovery room, in the physical therapy appointments, in the patients required to come back at half speed without rushing and re-injuring. You found out that what you built wasn't gym specific. It had generalized. It had become part of how you move through difficulty, not just a setting you switch on between those 4 walls.
Hardened doesn't mean numb. People confuse these things. Numbness is the absence of sensation. Hardened is the presence of sensation with the absence of panic. You feel everything. You just don't catastrophize it anymore. The prediction your brain used to add, "this will break me," is gone because you've been broken and you know what that actually is. It's temporary. It's instructive. It's not the end of anything.
Level 7, control. You can choose now. This is what no one tells you is coming. You thought the destination was toughness, the ability to push through anything, grind through anything, take whatever arrives and keep moving. That's not actually the destination. The destination is choice. At this level, you can choose to enter the pain and you can choose not to. Not because you're avoiding it, because you understand it well enough to know when it's useful and when it's just noise. You don't push through everything anymore. You've learned to read the difference between the pain that builds and the pain that breaks. The line between those two things is one of the most valuable pieces of knowledge a body can accumulate. Most people never develop this. They either avoid all discomfort or they push through all of it with no discrimination. You are doing something more sophisticated than either. You are using pain as information, not obeying it blindly and not ignoring it arrogantly, listening to it, deciding what it means, acting accordingly. The people around you see this as calm. What it actually is fluency. You speak a language they haven't learned yet. Level 8, weaponized. Hard things have become your advantage. Not in a performance way, not in a way you announce, in the quiet, compound way that changes the math of everything. When something difficult arrives, and something difficult always arrives, you are the person in the room who doesn't change. Not because you don't feel it, because feeling it stopped being the deciding factor a long time ago. The project that requires 6 months of grinding before it shows results, you are the person who does that. The goal that everyone around you has quietly given up on because it got hard, you are still there. This is what weaponized pain tolerance actually means. It's not about suffering. It's about not being stopped by things that stop other people. The gap between you and the person you were trying to become, it was never talent, it was never circumstance. It was this. Level 9, transcendent. You are not afraid of pain anymore. Not brave, not afraid. There's a difference. Brave means you feel the fear and go anyway. This is something past that. You've been in enough hard moments, endured enough, adapted enough, returned from enough, that the threat has lost its power. Pain is just weather now. Sometimes it rains, you still go outside. You found out what you're actually made of.